This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard. The whole thing is available on all major podcast providers. For the first time in its 34-year history, the Crown Prosecution Service has a black male chief prosecutor. Lionel Idan stepped up to the role and spoken to the Evening Standard about his commitment to bring real change. Our editorial column says there's a lot to do.
Last month, for example, barrister Alexandra Wilson was mistaken for a defendant 3 times in one day at court. Meanwhile, the Bar Standards Board says ethnic minority students are almost half as likely to get a pupillage than white students with similar levels of academic attainment. Lionel Idan can't alter much of this, but his presence in a senior role sends a valuable message in encouraging change. Londoners should wish him well.
Our crime correspondent, Anthony France, has interviewed Lionel Idan for the newspaper, and you can also find that at standard.co.uk. Anthony's with me now. There have been several race issues highlighted in the courts and the criminal justice system recently, Anthony. He's going to have a lot of work on his plate, isn't he?
I think so, and I think he knows the enormity of the job that he's got. And to be honest, his arrival does not come a moment too soon. There are currently calls for compulsory anti-racism training at every level of our legal system. And the reason for that is even at the start of their careers, student lawyers are half as likely, if they're black, to get pupillages than white students with the same qualifications. Just 1.1% of QCs are black in this country. And even as they go up the ladder, although they're overrepresented in applications to join the judiciary, they're less likely to be successful. You know, this is a justice system where judges, and we need, judges from ethnic minorities because, as David Lammy's report found, black offenders are more likely to get a custodial sentence than their white criminals for the same offences.
And when you consider those statistics, when you look at those, this idea that he is the first black male chief prosecutor at the CPS doesn't seem so outlandish, does it? No.
I mean, he comes with an impressive legal pedigree. He started as a domestic violence prosecutor, and his team were the team that successfully prosecuted 2 of Stephen Lawrence's killers in 2012.
But there's never been a black man in this position before, although he says he doesn't want to be a poster boy.
No, and I think he set his stall out very early on. He said that, he doesn't want to be a poster boy, but he wants to bring about real change. I mean, if there's anybody in the legal system who knows what real change looks like, it's him. He grew up in Ghana, where his father lectured in art and literature. And he said he had no concept of racism until he arrived here in the UK. But yeah, I mean, it does sound like, he's going to go out there. He says, yes, I know the enormity of it, but he says that this is a watershed moment in the journey of the CPS.
And he himself thinks he's going to have quite a big caseload. Looking at the interview you've done with him, he's talked about how the far right is using coronavirus as an excuse to attack Asian people.
That's right. Yeah, there have been a number of prosecutions led by some of his teams, but the police have been concerned for some time that the far right have been using coronavirus as an excuse to attack people from East and Southeast Asia, and he says he's ready to tackle hate crime in London. He hasn't got an easy job. But by the sound of it, he's prepared for what he's about to face. And I think most Londoners wish him luck.
Did you get an impression when you were speaking to him that this is a man who was wary of what he was going to have to do? Or did he seem to be just up for it? I'm going to do this and I'm going to take this on.
Yeah, I think very much he sounded like he was up for this. He knows that the courts need to be better represented of the communities that they serve. This is definitely a guy, who, as he says, his interest in law was sparked by chance when he went to visit a court to observe a sketch artist, and he was then hooked by the case. And the legal teams involved, and as I said, he says, "I'm ready to work with people." It sounds like he's got law in his blood.